Thank you so much for joining. If you're catching this live, thank you for spending your Monday evening with me. If you're catching this recorded, most importantly, thank you for taking some time out of your day to really just invest some time and energy into getting a little bit more clear on how you can get the most out of your goal setting, but more importantly, how can you start to achieve and continue to achieve those goals so you have more of an enjoyable process, you are seeing the results based on the work that you're putting in, and that you're having a good time doing it. So what I want to talk to you today, most specifically on kind of cutting through the crap with New Year's resolutions and trying to break it down to a very simple two-step approach. Now, I could probably tangent about this for hours, as some of you may have heard. So I'm going to try and keep it a little bit more short and sweet today. So that way, if you have more questions, we can dive into some deeper conversations in the future. But for now, what I want to focus with you on is revamping your New Year's resolutions with two methods, the KISS and the MAPS approach. So what we got here are just some common New Year's resolutions. When January 1st flips over, I'm sure you've said it, I know I have, it's time to get serious about blank. Or this year, this month, I'm going to blank. We come into the new year with a full head of steam. We're excited, we're on fire. For a week, we rock it. The second week, we're still really good. The third week, it's kind of okay. The fourth week, And that's how the story goes, right? Not all the time, but sometimes we kind of can get stuck in that trap of not really solidifying the habit. We get into a groove, and what happens is we run out of that willpower. So looking at these stats real quick, the top resolutions of 2017 were losing weight, eating healthier, improving lifestyle, quitting smoking, working out more often as the majority. So you see they're quite healthy lifestyle focused. And what you see on that middle little chart or the little graph here is, only half of the people retain those resolutions past a month. Only 3/4 of those people only did it for a week. Right? About half the people who set a New Year's resolution fail. And why is that? Now, the issue with setting the resolution is it's usually a pretty lofty statement. It's not specific, it's not actionable, it's kind of just like a thing that we're wishing for. And sometimes it's multiple things we're wishing for at the same time. And that's where the issue arises. So if you think about real quick, a goal that you currently have or a goal you've set in the past, just kind of what the dialogue is, what you name the goal as. If it's you want to lose 10 pounds or you want to be able to do this lift or this adventure, just think of it for a moment. How do you even word the goal? Because in that is something important. Now, some of the hardest parts of reaching your goals are somewhat similar for each of us. No time or lack of time, busy, whether you own your own business or work at a high profile business, too stressed, things come up during the week. Oh boy, don't they? Lots of work stuff, and the list goes on. But basically, if you boil all those things down to what's the theme of those types of, we'll say hard parts, or you could even use the word excuses, it's the fact that your schedule has some lack of planning and scheduling that focuses on your physical, mental, and emotional health. Now, we all have the best of intentions. You know that you don't want to voluntarily sabotage your body, your health, your fitness. But right, as those bullet points on the left come up, if you have a family, if you have a business, a career, stuff just comes up in life, and that's the nature of life itself. But within that, we have to develop this mindset and this practice of, even when things go crazy and haywire and feel like they're bouncing off the walls, the first thing that you shouldn't throw in the trash is taking care of yourself that day. If anything, that's a day where it's even more important to put some self-care time in, whether it's a full workout, a walk, some stretching, mobility, nutrition, whatever. So trying to just shift the mindset of, okay, these are the hard parts, but how can I step back into my power and use the power of planning and scheduling? And that's really what we're going to talk about today. How can we overcome the busyness, the stress, the stuff coming up, and the no time to keep making an impact on your health, wellness, and lifestyle? Because if you aren't putting and creating that time for you and your health, who do you think is going to? Your boss? No way. Your family? They love you, but guess what? They still need you too. So others are important, but nobody is important as you. And that's important because if you are not taking care of yourself, how can you take care of others? I know everyone listening in right now has a family, whether it's yourself, loved ones, children, spouses, parents, friends, cousins, whatever. And if you aren't taken care of, if you're not healthy, if you're not well rested, if you're not eating well, most likely you're not operating as your best self either. You're feeling a little behind the eight ball. You're a little frustrated, a little angsty, a little tired. So how can you possibly bring your best self to other people? And so even when you have a lot of other people to take care of, remember that you still are at the top of your priority list so you can better serve the people around you as well. Now, within these little goal settings, they can fall into 4 spheres: your body, your career, your mental space, and your family. Right? These 4 spheres, I think, are pretty much all encompassing of life. And that little gold star right in the middle of this quad diagram is you. You're a culmination of all these kind of things bundled together. So when you're writing out a certain goal or thinking of a certain goal, check out those 5 bullet points. What category does it fall into? Are they balanced? Do you only have body goals? Do you only have career goals? Do you only have family goals? Are you passionate about them? Are they realistic? And just like following a roadmap would be, you can, in fact, get to each of these goals by having this little template. And the acronym MAPS is where we're going to step into it today. And as you can see, MAPS stands for having goals that are measurable, attainable, purposeful, and specific. And that's really what we're going to dive into in this first section here. So think of this little quad Venn diagram, if you will, on the top left, as we kind of go through the next couple slides, that your goals are multifaceted. Even a body goal that's related to weight loss still has something to do with your family, your mental space, and your career. They're all connected in some way. So that's the key here on really making some big progress with some of your goals. So the first letter in MAPS, measurable. Like I was saying before, with the problem of New Year's resolutions is people are not very direct or using words properly when they're talking about their goals. You can see here, right? I want to work out more. I want to be stronger. I need to eat better. Those all sound like extremely viable goals, and they're legitimate goals, right? Wanting to work out more makes perfect sense. Wanting to be stronger, love it. Wanting to eat better, it's super important. But the problem is there's no way to measure if you have or have not done it. I need to eat better. What does that mean? Does that mean I eat 2 pieces of lettuce and now I'm eating better? Do I eat 5 cookies instead of 7? Does that mean eating better? You need to be a little bit more specific. So instead of wanting to work out more, using I am going to the Orca 3 times a week. That way you can measure your progress. Did I go to Orca 3 times? Yes or no? No, I didn't. Okay, I still have work to do to get to this benchmark I set for myself. I want to be stronger versus a tangible strength progress. You can direct your energy of strength to do this specific thing versus kind of like, I feel stronger. And then I need to eat better. Again, getting specific with something you can tangibly put your finger on, say yes or no. The words you choose matter because it is mental, right? This mental emotional portion of it. So if you give yourself the space to wiggle, we're going to wiggle. We like the path of least resistance. You have to give yourself a little bit of a harder time by wanting to measure out what you're going to do. How to measure progress. You can set a time frame. You set something out for somewhere in the future. You set up a plan to work backwards. Okay, 3 months from now, I want to do this. So this month I need to do this. This week I need to do this. That means today I have to do this. How you can measure progress is having a long-term plan and then setting short-term checkpoints. Right? If you have a very long journey ahead of you, usually you're going to stop at rest stops or stop at checkpoints. Same thing here. It's a long journey. You're going to have to take some breaks. and more importantly, assess how you're doing along the journey. Tracking system, whether you're going to use a journal, a community, a calendar, a notebook to kind of get yourself there, and to remind yourself that it is a journey. So checking out that little graph on the right, we've got on the x-axis your time, and on the y-axis your level of awesomeness. Now, as you can see, and whether you're thinking this in weight loss, performance, awesomeness, whatever other tangible asset, it's never a straight and perfect line to the top. Some days you're going to be crushing it. Some weeks you're going to be crushing it. Some days are going to kick your ass and you're going to feel a little bit behind the 8 ball and you're maybe not doing as great as you have before, but it's how you bounce back. So as long as your overall trend is progressing, improving, doing and feeling better, that's the goal you're looking for. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for positive progress as an average, right? And by using some of these techniques, that's how you're going to get there. Now, the A in MAPS is making sure that it is an attainable goal. Far too often, our eyes get big. We want a big goal. Why? It's exciting. It is captivating. It's what gets you amped up and excited. But the problem is that realistically doable for you right now? Yes, it is, because it is important. Okay. Now, if it's not realistically doable, why? That's important to be able to assess. It's not that you're not able to do it. It's that maybe I need to set a different goal first to set myself up to be more successful in this. If your goal is to lose 40 pounds, fantastic. But guess what? You can set a goal to lose 5 pounds. You got to hit that first, versus having a goal of losing 40 pounds. And when you only lose 5 pounds, you're like, shit, I got such a long way to go. The mindset of it. So is it realistically doable? If it maybe is not, you set up a checkpoint goal to get you closer to it so you can feel successful along the way to this really big goal. Another thing that's important on is your goal attainable is the effort level matching the goal? Big goals demand big efforts. So if you're setting a big goal and you're not producing or bringing a big effort, you need to be honest and raw with yourself on why you aren't getting there. It's not basically just trying to boil it down to how can I make this goal smaller, or how can I make my efforts larger in order to progress? Something else that's important to remember is that you are a first-time human and you're going to mess up. What's more important is after you mess up, what's the learning point? How do you move forward? Just like that little graph before on the bottom right, it's never a perfect line. You see some of those dips down. There are some mess ups. There are some blunders. There are some uh-ohs. But it's overall, are you still learning? Are you doing better? And a really big part in it being attainable is the scheduling of yourself and having to deal with curveballs along the way. This last year we had was quite crazy. So if anything, I think a skill set we all developed in 2020 was to be a little bit more adaptable. So basically, can you, even though the Super Bowl was yesterday, call an audible? Can you shift on the fly, right? Plans may not always work, but planning always does. So keep keeping your foot on that gas pedal and basically checking out with how can I rearrange what's going on so it can fit what I need for my goal. Within your goals, it has to be something that's purposeful. Is it something that you want, actually, or is it something that you were kind of influenced to want? Especially now with all the social media, seeing all these sexy fitness models that are men, women, seeing goals, seeing people lift crazy amounts of weight. And more importantly, on the non-gym side, seeing people make a bunch of money, do extravagant things, get extravagant stuff. Seeing the highlight reel of people's lives basically kind of clouts a little bit of obviously the reality of the situation, where not every day is going to look, feel, or act like that. So checking into, is this a goal that speaks to my heart, my brain, and my body, or is this kind of something that I saw and think that I wanted? Because if you aren't excited for it to happen, it's probably not going to happen. And that brings me to the quick little quote down here that when a goal is an outcome of external voices or pressures, the achievement is less likely. Right? It's quite simple. If it doesn't speak to you and come from within, it's probably less likely because you're less excited to do it. So check in with yourself. How important does the goal matter to you and you alone? It's important to be selfish, so use it wisely. Whether you have a business, husband, wife, partner, kids, no kids, family, right? There's a lot of selfless things we do throughout the day. So when you have your selfish time, use it really wisely. Do you want to use your selfish time of the day on social media, watching a movie, watching a TV show, sitting back, having a drink? These are things that are not unhealthy, but if they are in replacement for working out, getting your greens, going for a walk, well, then it can be an unhealthy practice, because if your goal is to get more movement in and you're actively choosing the opposite of that with your precious selfish time, well, there's a disconnect between your actions and your goals. So it's not that it's a bad behavior, it's just that it's bad timing for that behavior right now. And that's all you just got to check in with. Now, something that helps, and the ask yourself why 5 times, I think is a really cool concept. And it's actually done by the Toyota Motor Company. And it's something that they do in a lot of their, say, breakthrough sessions. And it's, if you are finding yourself with a problem, you need to ask yourself why 5 times to be able to kind of get down deeper to the root of the problem. So I don't have a sweet example right off the top of my head, but basically, like, if you think of a thing of, oh, I slept in late. My alarm didn't go off. Why? Because the alarm clock didn't work. Why? Because the batteries were dead. Why were the batteries dead? Well, because I didn't check them the night before. Okay, so basically I missed my alarm and slept in late, not because the alarm clock didn't work, but because I wasn't proactive enough to check if the alarm clock was going to work for me. Small example, but to bring it back in, what makes a goal purposeful is also having connection. So right back to it. Are you connected to it? Does it get you excited? Because if it doesn't, what's the point? And most importantly, with that word choice I was talking about back in the measurable section, you really need to be specific with what you are asking for and what you are working for. You need to be raw and real, right? There's no sugarcoating it. You will be responsible for your actions or your inactions. It's plain and simple. Nobody can help you do the things that you're actively choosing not to do. Nobody can show up when you're not showing up. We're not going to hold your hand. It's not going to, you need to be raw and real and specific with what you're asking of yourself, most importantly, in addition to asking for the help from people around you. Another thing is specific is what's in your wallet and what's in your calendar. Right? If you're spending money on something and you're spending time on something, 2 very valuable resources of energy, that's determining what you're truly committed to. Right? You all come to Orca. Why? It's not a $9.99 per month gym. You have a financial investment in it, so it becomes important to you. Now, are you also making sure that it gets on your calendar since you are financially investing into it? The combination of the two is what really shows the commitment. I don't know about you. I spent my money on very silly things. I've also spent my time on very silly things. But when I spend my time and money on something that is smart, it feels really good and I have a great time. So keeping that in mind too. Those 2 things, make sure they're aligned pretty well. You want to get specific, just like in that I want to work out more versus I want to show up at 3 days a week. If your goals are not specific with their word choice, if they're vague, you're not going to have a clear or focused action to be able to do. And on top of that, you want to think deeper, not wider. So rather than trying to do a lot of little different goals, pick a goal and dive deep into it. Like, be almost obsessed with that one thing until you really can achieve it and get comfortable doing it. So you want to think going into the rabbit hole and going deep versus kind of digging a sandbox and keeping it surface level and just scraping wide across. Now, in addition to the MAPS principle, right? Measurable, attainable, purposeful, and specific. Another thing is the KISS, which I am so thankful to be reminded of this day in and day out, which is keep it small and simple. Keep it small and simple. Reaching and setting your goals is not rocket science. It's not physics. It's not heart surgery. What it does require is a consistent level of discipline. It requires a consistent level of scheduling and planning. And above all else, it requires things to be almost laughably small and simple, right? You think about the small things you do on a daily basis that you probably don't even think that you do. Well, you have to kind of think of it, but brushing your teeth, clipping your toenails, taking a shower, washing the counters or the sink or the bathroom or whatever, putting your car in drive, checking the fluids, taking care of your dogs. I'm trying to think of random things here as Oakley walked by me. But the point being, there's a lot of things you do during the day that are very small in their nature, very simple, almost laughably small and simple. But if you didn't do those things, the day would really become like a mess, right? If you didn't put gas in your car, you're going to end up on the side of the road. If you didn't brush your teeth, the first 4 people you see in the morning are going to be like, woof. So those have an impact. They're small, but they have a great, great possibility to change the impact of your day. Small goals lead to simple and easy actions. But you can see on the image on the right, if you have very small goals, we'll use the word goals here as these little rungs on the ladder. You can take a lot of little steps really frequently. You can almost have like a win or a goal achievement every day or week. Versus if you set that big goal, right, that 40-pound weight loss, you are reaching for that first rung of the ladder to make any progress. Versus if you set, I'm going to lose 1 pound a week, you can give yourself a high five and celebrate, hopefully really often. And that's what it's about. You build that momentum, you get excited, you can keep the ball rolling. If a goal is too big, it can cause anxiety, it can cause you to procrastinate on it, or honestly, it can get you depressed and feel pretty beat up about yourself because you don't think you're doing a good job if you're not seeing the progress. So by chunking it down and breaking this big boulder into really tiny pebbles, it allows you to just grab a hold of it and move in that direction very easily. And you get that instant feedback. You get that dopamine and then endorphin rush that makes you feel good by celebrating and achieving. Achieving small goals more frequently keeps you motivated and energized because you can celebrate your success more often. Truth. Small actions over weeks, months, and years will lead to 100% big goal achievements. If I said you had to do 5 push-ups a day, that's all the exercise you had to do, 5 push-ups a day, you're going to do it. You're going to be like, whatever, fine. Boom, 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 boom. 5. Boom, 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 boom. 5. You do 5 push-ups a day for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, a couple months, you are going to become an expert at push-ups. Well, what if you think 5 push-ups, you do it for a month, and you go, Sean, I'm ready to do 10 push-ups a day. All right, fine. 10 push-ups a day for the next month. Sounds great. You just doubled your ability to crush the goal. You want to create these small action steps so that way when you start doing them, you then at your own pace can increase the size of the goal to where it feels appropriate. You don't want to start too big. Start small, build it up. Now, on top of small, what's important to recognize is simple. Now, this first bullet point for simple is probably my favorite. Simple does not always mean easy. I say that all the time in the workouts, right? A simple exercise does not mean the exercise is easy. Excuse me. It just means that it is easy to understand and therefore easy to execute, right? 10 body weight squats. Give me 10 body weight squats with a slow tempo and the best form as if the Pope was watching. It's going to be a lot harder than saying 10 body weight squats. But it's simple to carry out. You can do it. And it doesn't feel like if I said you got to do 10 overhead squats at 135 pounds with a 5-second pause and you got to do it, to Olympic depth. Well, that's too big of a something, right? There's too many moving parts and pieces. It's confusing. Simplify what you need to do so that way you can do it and move on. The simple steps take away the confusion of how to get started, right? Laughably easy, because if it's simple, that means it's clear. If it's clear, you understand it and you can start to do it quickly. If you're starting to do it quickly, you're going to be able to see and achieve results and progress, and it's going to help you build up your confidence, which means you're going to achieve results. It's going to get you excited. And then what are you going to do? You're going to set another goal. You're going to keep it simple. You're going to get clear about it. You're going to build confidence. You're going to achieve it. And that process repeats itself beautifully so. Now, simple is not that it needs to be complex. I thought that for a while, that it needed to be complex, right? If you were in Orca probably in like 2017, 2018, when I was still fresh out of college, writing a lot of the programming, there was some crazy stuff going up on that board, like single arm front rack, bottoms up, Bosu reverse valve slide lunge with the mini band on, while juggling with one hand. Because, all right, cool, it's more complex. It's asking them to do more things. It must be more effective than, a normal lunge. Well, maybe, but the more simple that something is, the more often that you are going to do it, because there's no loading period. You can just get right into it and go. That's the beauty of it. So don't be afraid, or honestly, don't be embarrassed if it's something small and simple. If anything, like, you should be even more proud and even more, I should say, impressed with yourself that you can keep something so small and simple as your focus, because you're going to crush it. Absolutely going to crush it, versus setting something that like takes a lot of willpower and like the stars aligning in order for it to happen. Now, here are some ways to slow it down, keep it simple, small, and specific. Now, if you're ever feeling like a change in stress and angst, or if you're needing that to get back into the groove, whatever that means for you, a good way to get there is to change your body chemistry. So improving or increasing the amount of water, getting direct sunlight, taking some deep breaths, doing a stretch, taking a walk, hopping out of your chair or whatever for a little bit of exercise. So when in doubt, do something that is directly related to improving your health. If you're in a time crunch, if you're stressed, if you're not even sure what goal to do or what action to take next in that day, do something small and simple to just kind of change your chemistry. Another way that you can, on the fly, maintain progress is taking one thing off your to-do list for the next day. This brings it back into the nothing is more important than you are. So if your day gets clogged up and things come up, right? So today, Monday, I wasn't able to get a workout in because my to-do list today was so full. Over the weekend, I had a couple new appointments and some new obligations come in, so I wasn't able to train. That's okay. But what's not okay is to let it happen again tomorrow. By the end of tonight today, I will schedule my time to take care of myself at this time in exchange for this thing. This thing is at a lowest importance because it's not time sensitive and it's not urgent. So it can wait. Even though I want to get it done, even though it's on the list already or somebody's waiting for it, they can wait an additional hour. They can wait one more day, because if I don't take care of myself the next day, I'm going to feel like crap. And I'm not going to do as good of all the other responsibilities I'm going to do. And then I'm going to mentally beat myself up. And then Wednesday comes along and now I'm feeling like, oh, I haven't worked out in 2 or 3 days. I'm mentally beating myself up a little bit about it. You see where this could go. Take stuff off of your list, clear the clutter, because more stuff to do is not better. Completing and finishing things that make you feel good is much better. Another way to slow it down and figure out and sift through some crap is to ask yourself the why 5 times. You can do this silently. You can write it out. If nobody who you live with will think you're a crazy person, you can have a conversation with yourself out loud. This is something that I use, the why 5 times. If I am finding that I'm not doing the action steps for my goal. So like if I said, I'm going to do X, I'm going to read a chapter a day so I can read a book a month. Well, if 3 weeks go by and I am only on chapter 1, I go, well, Why am I not reading? And then I'll go into the 5 questions to try and dig into the deeper notice, which is, oh, I'm really not inspired to read a book a month because I got other things that I'd rather do. I'd rather listen to a book. So what am I going to do? I'm going to change up the goal because I found out it actually doesn't fit what I need, which is so stress relieving because, I have to look at that goal every day and be like, crap, I'm not getting there. Crap, I'm not getting there. All I needed to do was switch the goal. It didn't make sense for me, but I didn't know that until I asked why a bunch of times. It allowed me a lot more space, took pressure off for me to be achieving other things, which is really fantastic. So that why is a very powerful question, albeit just 3 words. Another way to keep it simple is to check your goals in the morning or night. I keep my goals in my notebook, in my phone as my home screen. And recently I had a keychain made from Etsy where it was like a little wood burned in, they like wood carving etched it. It was nice. And it had my goals written right on it. So they dangled. I spent money on it. It was important to me. I also got to carry it with me every time I got in the car. So I just got to see it. It's important to put your goals in front of your face in the morning because, right, before turning on the news, drinking your coffee, checking social media, you prime your brain with what's important to you before what's important to the world or important to your employer or important to even your family. It's important to make sure that you check in with yourself. Like, how am I feeling today? What's my mission? What am I going to get accomplished to make sure that I feel good? So that way I can keep taking care of all the responsibilities and the people around me. And at the end of the day, think of it like sending a voicemail to your subconscious brain. You're about to rest for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. And the last pieces of information you take in before bed are probably going to linger into your brain while you sleep. So checking your goals at the end of the day is a good way to kind of let them marinate overnight. You can also write or talk about what's going on. Journal, friend, family, over the phone, face-to-face, silently meditate. Meditate does not need to be like sitting on a cushion with your legs crossed, screaming, humming Om. It can be a walk. It can be doing dishes, but not thinking about anything other than what's going on. It's more or less just like the mindset. It's just not distracting yourself when you want to think of something, basically. And sometimes the most powerful thing to keep it simple and small is throw it out. Start again. Sometimes the process doesn't work or the goals don't work, and that's okay. You just want to reset and reframe. And then some tools to make this happen, as we're getting ready to wrap this up, would be the monthly goal maps we have at Orca. We set them in the 1st and 2nd week of January. It's about to be to the end of the month. We're going to check, or excuse me, it's been about a month. We're going to check in with them. How'd you go? Did the action steps work? Yes, no, okay. We'll use these maps and KISS principle in order to get you streamlined for February, March, April, so you can really dial in some specific, small, and actionable goals so you can crush big achievements over the course of this entire year. Something else is to simply clean out your cabinets. A healthy belly is a healthy mind. If you have shitty food laying around, it's going to probably encourage some shitty choices and shitty emotions at the wrong times of day. So a good way to keep it clear in the brain is to clear out the cabinets. Something that's nice to have is an accountability community. So something that I'll actually be doing after this meeting is every Monday night with about 4 or 5 members of the pod, what we do is an accountability group. We check in for about an hour every Sunday or Monday. We go over wins of the week, challenges of the week. We brainstorm some ideas. And basically, it's a deconstructed presentation where we just open forum, problem solve, and gather ideas from other people and have some camaraderie and some laughs and share challenges to just, be a support for one another, but also be a soundboard to help other people kind of sift through their own junk. Because once you verbalize it, and then someone can kind of like, who's a peer, who's also, a member, not just your coach, someone who's, we'll say your peer can help you kind of sift through some things, sometimes even better than I can, because they're in maybe a more familiar position as you. Maybe they have kids and a wife and a house, and I only have a dog and a business and an apartment. So sometimes people can resonate with you even better than I can, which is absolutely wonderful. Using that community and that support system, the pod, is a great tool and resource. Using your KISS goals to stay on track, creating a to-do and not to-do list, right? I need to do these things, and I don't want to do these things. These are the things that pull me away from my goals. Most importantly, something I really want you to drive home here is to celebrate your wins and to reward yourself for the wins. You don't just get to a goal and go, okay, cool, we're on to the next thing. The point is the celebration, right? Even if it's a small goal, I did my air quotes, it still deserves a celebration because it took consistent steps. It took simple actions. It wasn't nothing. It was something. It took time. It took energy. It took passion, and reward yourself for that because, right, you're going to remember the reward, the celebration, and that's what helps fuel it for the next time, right? It's not that everybody gets a medal or everybody gets a trophy, right? You deserve that crap. You busted your butt to work on this goal. So make sure that you're rewarding yourself. And if you're not sure how to reward yourself, definitely chat with me because the celebration is usually just as important as the goal itself. You want to reinforce that good habit with some feel good juju. And since you hung around all the way to the end, what we have is this accountability group that I was just talking on. We're going to be opening it up to probably 2 or 3 more people. We don't want to let the group get too large, so that way we can still stay focused and stay task oriented with one another. So we're not in a meeting for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Everybody's time is valuable. So 2 or 3 people. What we do is an hour video call check-in every week. On top of that, we have a check-in via our text and group chat. So we have through Google, like a message group, and we check in with our daily actions and our weekly intentions of the week to make sure that we can, right? That's an accountability system. You got to say you did it or you didn't do it for the day, and we get to talk it out. Sometimes it's what helps me do it in the day too, and helps others do it because they know they got to check in. That little bit of accountability of the people being like, I don't want to let my people down. I don't want to tell them I didn't do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to carve out time. So it's a nice addition. It's also nice because it's not someone that's in your direct family. So it's nice to get a different perspective. Also in this group, right, we share our wins, we share troubles, we share tactics. It's non-exercise based coaching. So this is for your goals that are inside the gym, but also outside of the gym to help create that well-balanced and force-sphere lifestyle. In addition to that, you get a little more access to moi throughout the week. And very excitingly, I have an ebook that I wrote probably about 2 years back, and I was able to get in touch with Amazon, and I actually have about 10 free copies to give away. Now, I have copies that are an Audible ebook, an Audible audiobook, and I also have copies that are a physical paperback book. So if you want any of those 3 options, whether you're going to join the group or not, let me know. I'll see if I can pull some strings to get it for you. But with this group, it is a very little investment, right? 4 quarters a day. 4 quarters gets you 4 hours of video chat, sometimes a little more, throughout the week. You get check-ins pretty much every single day. And on top of that, it just gives a fun little support system where you get to, again, carve out time specifically for you to get the most bang for your buck from the time that you're investing. All right. So if this is something you're interested in, send me a message, drop a comment below. I can give you some more info to make sure that you're making a well-informed decision. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed this. Right. So to finish out your bingo board as well, if possible, when you can, write a review, Yelp, Google, Facebook. You can copy and paste it between all sites if you've written one before. It's absolutely fine. Remember to show up, and if possible, bring a friend and bring a family member, right? If you have somebody that is close to you that you're doing it with, right, your exercise, your adherence, your commitment to it goes up because now you don't want to not show up for that person or yourself, right? Mom, family member, friend, coworker. If you do it with somebody who you're friends with and that's important to you, you're both going to have a better time doing it. Also, your ability to stay with it goes up too. Most importantly, though, keep making sure that you are being you, having fun with it, and being gentle with yourself. I'm going to send over all of these slides so you can look them over. Remember, I'm always available for comments, questions. Shoot me a message, give me a phone call. I'm not the best texter on the planet, so please be patient with me. But if you do need my attention abruptly, please just give me a phone call. Right? We're here for you as often as always we can be. And with that, cheers. Happy Monday night. I hope this was effective for your learning. I hope this got some juices flowing in your brain. Again, next time we meet in person, let's dive a bit deeper into some of these things that you were thinking of during this meeting and put some pen on paper and get some goals really rocking, right? Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. It's always appreciated. Hope this is purposeful. Namaste.